Yeah. I think I asked this question before, and yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I think Pernilla, you gave me a very long answer and very detailed response last time, and I'm pretty sure I watched the video, and I'm pretty sure I've forgotten everything. And
There we go.
here we go. And just when you were talking to Glenda, and it comes up all the time during my life, this thing of reparenting. I always think it sounds really dumb, but I don't know how to do that. Even with the help of a therapist, I cannot. I just feel like I'm the inner child all day long.
Mm.
And I guess I think during some of last year, I felt there was some presence. I can kind of connect with the non-dual thing, and I could watch Angelo for some hours, and then I go, okay, I can sit with what's happening now. Recently, I've been a bit overwhelmed by things, and I don't know how to sit with stuff. There's so many thoughts that I'm believing about my life being a disaster, and there's so many feelings and emotions. I even have a basin on my bed because I feel so nauseous. I'm so afraid of so much stuff going on. I'm like,
Mm.
how do I sit with this stuff? It's too much. I don't know
Yeah.
what to do. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to do, and I'm kind of going. It seems the quick way one of you said, "Oh, you can do it now. You're the parent. You can reparent." It sounds normal to be able to do that, and I
Mm.
just don't know how I've never been, it really haven't been able to go,
I-
I'm the adult in the room here. I can just sit with this. This is just a part of what's happening. Whereas to me, it feels like everything that's happening.
Right.
yeah. Yeah, it is a huge issue for a lot of us that we have never had the parents that we're now trying to figure out how to wing it, and really not sure how to do that because there's been no role models to look at on how to do it. Um, I think if you let go of the thought of reparenting, because that's not gonna happen. That ship has sailed. That's not gonna happen. So don't go into that. Instead, just stay with whatever is happening. That when you're nauseated, you go like, it's okay to be nauseated. I'm getting a pan now, and in case I vomit, I have the pan. So I'm sorted. And then if any more thoughts come up about but what if and then and all of that which can happen with the thought going like like that, just
Yeah.
hang on, slow down, slow down, slow down. Back to what are you feeling right now in the body? I'm nauseated. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we stay with that just for a minute? You know, and really, you're much better at that than I am, with really going into the thought. Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
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 Oh, off you go.
Yeah, good.
Well,
Yeah, thank
anyway,
you. I keep feeling, I'll just quickly interject. I keep feeling like my mind can't stop saying something like, I need to be doing something here. I need to be understanding something. I need to be changing something. Just sitting here feeling shit can't be all I'm doing. There must be some figuring out or changing that's being done here. That's what, yeah.
so an interesting thing is because I'm one of those people that also came from a very cerebral sort of way of approaching all of this. And it's very hard to get out of that mindset that thoughts are going to fix this. I have to figure something out. I have to learn something. I have to get something that I don't have. And no matter how many times people tell you that it's not that, it can take a long time for it to really sink in. So I'm going to tell you once again, it's not that. Uh,
That did it.
that did it. That was the one.
Thank
Yay!
you.
Woo! No, but but really what it is it's noticing what is there, and instead of coming at it from the intellectual standpoint that I need to figure something out,
Mm.
it's looking into what is actually present in the moment, which is not what you want it to be in terms of awakening, right? So you have an idea in your mind of what being awake looks like, I'm assuming, right? So what would you say to that?
An idea in my, oh, I see. Um, the idea, I guess the idea, if there is one, is not being not being persuaded by the thoughts to get distracted repeatedly and feeling that the feelings are about me and everything's about me all the time.
Yeah.
Just
Mm.
being present, which sometimes slightly happens. There's a sort of a space, and I go,
Yeah.
could I just stay here, please? And
Mm.
not just keep believing these stories are about me and it's so
Yeah.
important to worry about my problems all day. So I think awakening must be not worrying about my problems all day, and that's the best I have for it. But I worry about my problems all day instead.
Yeah. So okay. So yes. The thoughts themselves are not the issue, though. You can still be perfectly awake and have thoughts that go on about this character, worrying about the life of this character. As you so astutely pointed out, the issue is the believing in them and the treating them as if they are really talking about this very real you who needs to be taken care of and, who needs to have everything sorted out. There are a couple things. So have you done the sort of exercise where you look to see what your next thought is going to be? Have you ever tried that?
Yeah. Normally, there seems like a torrent of all kinds of mixed up thoughts and half believed and half beliefs and feelings and stuff going on. Every now and then, it feels like I can see the next thought. The idea of somebody was talking about the gap between thoughts the other day. I'm like, what? There's a gap between your thoughts? Wow. But yeah, sometimes there's enough of a gap, and I go, I can wait for the next one, and I can grit my teeth in order not
Yeah.
to get distracted from it. Yeah.
Well, if you sit for a moment right now and you ask yourself, what is my next thought going to be? And stay vigilant and see because right now you have no idea what that next thought is going to be, right?
Yeah.
It could be
No.
a kangaroo riding a unicycle, right? You have no idea what that next thought is going to be. It's going to be just as much of a shock to you as it is to all of us.
I guess.
Because you're not the one thinking it. You might have a thought that seems familiar because we tend to have these very repetitive thoughts that happen all the time. So then it's like, okay, well, of course I'm thinking about finances again because that's something I worry about 23 hours of the day, and so of course it's another finance thought. But you don't know before it shows up that it is going to be a finance thought.
No. What I
Right.
find just in this moment, if I could say, is that even when you said you don't know what the next thought is going to be, it felt like there was three or four thoughts already that I only barely saw, and I felt I reacted to them, but I don't know what they are. And so
Yeah.
the next explicit thought is going to be, I don't even know what I'm thinking. I think there's stuff going on here that I'm reacting to and feeling like I believe in, and I can't even see them. That will be my next explicit thought. And then the next one after that will be, you're failing again at and looking for the next thought. But
Yeah.
that would often feels like it's happening, and I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I like that you call it the explicit thought versus the other ones because we do have these kind of different layers of thought that happen. And there is the kind of, large, as you call it, explicit thoughts that seems like it's in our voice a lot of the time. It sounds like it's really us who's thinking these thoughts, that they're pertaining to us. And then underneath that, what a lot of people don't even notice because it's happening like all the time is this stream of just random thoughts and images and stuff that is happening. And you're right that a lot of times those things are under the surface, creating bodily sensations and emotions and things that we're not even aware of consciously. And it's like you're going about your life, and all of a sudden you have this weird feeling of something like when you were 15, and it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Why did this? And there's something that happened. Maybe the light came through the window a certain way. It triggered this, flurry of memory that you don't even consciously pick up on of some incident that happened when you're 15. And you have this full body memory where all of a sudden you're there again, and then it's gone again. It's not as important to get uh, interested and aware of that lower stream of thoughts because we usually don't associate with those. They create feelings and stuff in the body, but they're not usually the ones that we really identify with. The ones that we really identify with are those explicit thoughts up on the top because they're in your voice most of the time and they really sound like they're coming from you. And what a lot of us don't realize is that when you have a thought, when you if you right now we're just thinking a sentence to yourself, like you can just try thinking the alphabet to yourself. You'll notice that your jaw, your tongue, all those muscles move very, very subtly, even if you're not speaking out loud. And a lot of the times, as we're thinking, when we have auditory thoughts, we're getting these small micro movements in the mouth that seem to be a reflection of the fact that we are thinking. We will get these emotional triggers by the thoughts. If you have a thought about finances that you're worried about, and that triggers a feeling of insecurity, you get this quick flush of hormones in the body and this flush of fear and sensation in the belly and however you experience it. that indicates to you that that is a real thought, and that that thought is something that is actually dangerous. It's about something that you need to be aware of, and you have to take note of that. But it's because it's getting this feedback of sensation in the belly, and you feel this anxiety, and then that anxiety propels another thought to mind about, oh my God, and if I don't do that, then I'm going to end up homeless, and then that causes another flurry of sensation in the body. And it's this feedback loop of thought and sensation over and over and over again. So when we are disidentifying, we are recognizing that you have sensations in the body, and that they are not the fear and the anxiety and all the frustration and all the stuff that we think it is. There are sensations in the body, and you have thoughts, which might be auditory, they might be visual, they might be felt sense, but they're just thoughts. And by decoupling those over and over again, you recognize that that is just sound in the head. That is not in any way more poignant or relevant to your situation than a radio playing in the room. It's just sound. You can start then to have that sort of, when you have those moments of openness where you feel like you're not identified, and then you get that ironically very identified, I wish I could just hold on to this and not be caught up in thought again, which is itself being caught up in thought again. When you have that moment of openness, do you recognize what is different then than when you are moments later believing in thoughts again?
Um, I mean, there's a feeling of, I don't know if that's what you're pointing to, there's a feeling of contraction that feels like the mind gripping, that I'm in this contraction, trying to control things or understand things. And then sometimes there isn't, or there isn't as much of that. And it feels much easier to survive that way, sort of thing,
Good.
without that grip of,
Yeah.
control or understanding, or that, kind of a contraction of thought or something. Yeah.
Good. And what I'd like you to notice is in that contraction of thought, that what you're experiencing is most likely actually physical muscular contraction in the body, in the face,
Mm.
around the jaw. It's not that thought itself can contract, because a thought is not tangible, right? A thought can't contract, but we relate to that with physical contractions. We relate to that with this tensing up in the body that feels like we are paying more attention
Mm.
on something, like we're focusing our attention by really tightening the muscles and opening the eyes and, clenching our fists. But in that moment when that happens, parse out, there's physical sensation here. There's physical contraction in the muscles,
Mm.
and even relax those muscles, like breathe into it and just take a deep breath, relax, and allow whatever feels like it's contracted to release, and see if that loosens your grip of that feeling of identification.
Um, okay. Um, yeah. Okay, I'll see how that goes. Yeah. There's just constant. I was doing quite a lot of this, like last, I don't know, September, October, and it felt like I was making progress. And the progress comes and goes. A week or two of that works quite well, and then it's lost again. And then the usual refrain is I'm doing it wrong, and I get lots of criticism going in there, and that just comes in, and I want to be, lots of self criticism comes in.
And when that happens, notice how defeating that is, both morally and because it's reinforcing the sense of an I who can do something.
Yeah,
Even the whole idea that there is an I who is going to get something at the end of this, who is going to succeed and change and be better, is part of the illusion.
yeah,
We're discarding the entire process. That entire idea of you being someone who's doing something for a purpose has to be let go of. We
that's
have to
my,
drop all of that.
as I often say, not that I want to go on for too long before I go on for much longer, but that's the kind of thing that I find this, the feeling of the one who is wrong is so normal for most of my life that any thought about that, my failure, my wrongness, my whatever, feels so true because it feels like me.
Yeah.
And then I kind of despair. I think, how will I ever not believe thoughts like that? Because it feels so true. It feels like me all the time. How do I drop that person who is always wrong when everything that every thought around that feels, it just, there's a resonance between the
Yeah.
thoughts about wrongness and my feeling of that, and dropping that again is, there's an additional thought going, I'm not able to drop that. I'm not able to drop that identity. Or something. It really is a cycle that I've seen for months. And I'm going, how do I escape from this? If I'm always doing this wrong, by definition, I'll never
Well,
escape.
and this, sorry,
No.
and then this brings us back to the whole idea of reparenting or being in the moment with it now, because that's exactly the thing. You have this fundamental starting point that there is something wrong with you, and there's
Mm,
resonance in that idea that I am flawed and
Mm.
I will never be able to get this.
yeah.
And so coming into the body when you have one of those thoughts and seeing how is that feeling in the body right now? Like specifically, where is that felt? When you have that contraction or that feeling that says, I am not good enough. I've always been not good enough. I can't possibly do this. Where does that hit in the body?
Yeah, I can feel all the way down here and down. There's dizziness and nausea. I've been feeling a lot of like fear, the real fear with that I'm never going to escape from whatever this is. And I've felt a lot of it recently. And just as an overall dizziness and the
Yeah.
nausea and so on, and fear like that I'm just, a hopeless case kind of thing, and I never escape from that.
So if you could take off that label of fear right now and just come into the body of what's here, be with where is it the most uh the strongest sensation for you right now?
Sorry.
That's okay.
There's an overall dizziness, like I'm spinning, all of
Hmm.
me. And then there's some nausea here in the pit of my stomach, sort of thing, a little bit in my throat.
Can you put your hands wherever it's the strongest? Good. Good. So put your sorry.
Don't
Put,
worry.
put your hands there, and I want you to breathe into that area. So as you inhale, I want you to feel that area expand underneath your hands. And I want you to be open to anything that shows up. Anything, memory, thought, sound, no matter how silly it seems. I want you to feel into that feel into that area as you are uh, breathing into it, and ask it, what are you here to tell me?
You can feel what feels like a kind of a thought like resistance going, I'm not going to let you feel whatever that is. But
Mm,
Mm.
anyway,
it's
that's
okay.
sometimes true.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
okay. We have a lot of ways of diverting from these things.
Um, there's just a feeling of like this is what I've been feeling for the past few days, and it's the same today. There's a feeling of being completely alone,
Mm.
Mm,
just alone, and this message is, I've always been alone, and I always will be, and then
Yeah.
just unsafe, and
Mm.
that's the end of that story.
okay. So keep feeling into that area and keep breathing into it. And when we talk about reparenting, it's not necessarily that you have to imagine yourself as the child. But right now, I want you to have love and compassion for that feeling that's there, because that feeling is a reflection of this aloneness that's always been there. And it's been trying to keep you from having to feel that aloneness. It's a deflection out of the body, into your thoughts. Don't be present now, just be someplace else. But
Mm.
now we're able to be here with it because you're not alone and you have your own back. Keep breathing into it and feel the love towards that you would feel towards an alone little child.
Don't want to be the naysayer here, but I feel
Yeah.
like the little child. I don't know if I'm the one
Okay,
who can bring love to this. I
that's
just
okay.
feel like this is the truth for me overall.
No, but as a child, you were taking care of your back because nobody had it. So for you still to be in that position where you say, but there is no adult here, there's just the little child still taking care of me, then just allow that to be there. Not try to escape into your mind and get away from the feeling, but just stay in the body. It's okay to be a little child. It's okay that nobody had your back and you were the only one who was there. You have been there for you until today in 2024.
Yeah.
You know, you're still here because you had your back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
So just really keep breathing into that part that is there. And every time the mind tries to divert away from the feeling because it's so icky, then just, you know, be brave. Go back to feeling it. It's why I keep asking the question, can you be in a body? Can you be in a body that where it's really complicated now to breathe? It's really, really complicated to be in the body right now.
Yeah, I guess maybe I have beliefs about how this should be. I should be better at doing this. It should be easier or something. And maybe it shouldn't. Maybe what you're saying is it could just be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it might change, you know, rather than being hooked into it should be one way or another, be with it the way it is that day. As a meditator, you know, one day is great, another day you just can't focus for more than 2 breaths, you know, but that's just the way it is. There's no moral issue with that, and there's no failing of you as a meditator. It's just the way it is. So today this is the way it's showing up for you. Tomorrow it might be something completely different.
And it's just like anything else in life that nothing is permanent. Just like having COVID, you know how it was done. That then you felt something, and then you felt different, then you felt different, then everything changes all the time. So the feeling that you're with right now, you can be with it right now. It's not going to be forever. It's not even going to be for a minute.
Yeah.
It's just right now it's like this. In a minute, it's going to be different. So keep being curious to the change that is happening and keep going with it. Whatever is happening, you just keep going with it. And when the mind is trying to seduce you into thinking, oh, you're not good enough, then go like, thank you. I know, I am aware. I'm going back to breathing now. And then you go back to breathing.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. I can feel like when you told me, you know, I've had my own back all along.
Yeah.
And that would be really helpful to hear that. And then it's like what I call the feeling of wrongness. I've heard like it feels that even the child who's taking care of the child feels wrong. And just even you saying that reminds me, maybe I wasn't wrong all the time. I always feel like I'm wrong all the time, even doing this, but that's probably a belief as well, or a thought or something.
It is, absolutely is.
How could you
Like, I
possibly
must be doing this wrong or something, because by definition, because it's me doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for helping. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it's
It's
funny
almost
that
like it's welded on. It's like it's like chrome plating or something. It's like this wrongness is just all over completely. Like it's so obviously true all the time for me.
Yeah.
That I don't have to think it. It doesn't have. There's no delay between an instant and the thought of I'm wrong. It just feels like that.
Yeah.
Is it possible for you to accept that this is a part of how it is to be you? That feeling of wrongness, instead of fighting it and not wanting to feel wrong, wanting to feel right, and kind of counting the seconds you feel right until you feel wrong again. How about you allowing to be wrong? Done is wrong. That's how it is. That's the normal. And then just allowing it to be there. There is a plate of wrongness over you. There's a heaviness of wrongness all the time. That's how it is to be in your body. Welcome to life. It's always been like that. It's never going to change. Just allow that to be as it is. And then there's no striving for it to be any different.
Okay, it doesn't sound like much fun, to be honest. I was hoping it would change.
The irony is, right, doing all of this stuff, eventually you get to the 10th fetter where it has to do with not knowing anything at all. And so you have to be able to be okay with the fact that you have no idea whether you are wrong or right at any point. Ever. And so you're already halfway there. You already feel like you're never right. So you're really, that's the thing that most people have the most trouble with, right? We all think we're right all the time. So you've done the hard work. That's out of the way now. Now we just have to get rid of the feeling of feeling wrong. So It's just being aware of the fact that you don't know ever whether you are correct or not, whether you're doing things the right way or not.
Oh,
We have, is that a package?
somebody by
Yeah,
the door.
package. We have absolutely no idea at any moment whether you should be doing something differently than you are or not, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, I really want to circle back to the part of you in the fourth, fifth wanting something different than what is.
Yeah.
You know, you wanting to not be wrong, instead of just really allowing this to be as it is.
Okay, I'll have to persuade myself a bit for a while about that, because it's hard to, yeah, I'll have to sit with that for a bit and see. It just feels, yeah, it doesn't feel much like, it's not much, it's not much fun to feel like that, because it filters my whole experience of
But
life.
you are anyway. That's the
Hmm?
whole point. You are anyway.
I know, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The only thing I'm asking you to is not fighting it anymore. Just
Okay,
going like, okay, I have
yeah,
a toe that hurts. Not fighting it anymore. It is how it is. You feel wrong. It's part of your matrix. It's part of you. It's never
yeah,
going to change. The wrongness is always going to be there. It's always going to be the primary for whatever is happening in your life. You feel wrong, and then just not striving for that to be any different, but just allowing that to be as it is.
okay, yeah, yeah, because it's there all the time, most of the time, yeah,
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 exactly.
And like we talked about before, it's mostly the resistance to it that causes the problem. Even this idea of being wrong and feeling wrong, when you talk about there being this sort of chrome armor plating that's there, feel into that. What is that? If it's felt in the felt sense, then it
yeah,
is some sort of felt contraction. It's some
yeah,
muscular thing, right? Let's break it down. What is that? Oh, I'm contracting. I have tension in my back. I have tension in my muscles. If
mm,
it feels like it's this um, sort of more nebulous field around you, well, where is that being felt? How are you recognizing that? Break it down into its constituent parts. If you have a thought about being wrong, how do you know that you're wrong? What is it in that thought that is, what is it in that thought that makes it seem true to you? When you have the idea that being wrong is so easy for you and that it's immediately believed, you need to look into what it actually is to believe a thought.
Mm.
How
yeah,
is You can hear a thought, but that's not the same as believing it, right? So in
yeah.
your experience, what is it? What does it mean to believe a thought?
Yeah, I have to look into that further. I even asked Angelo a question about that about 8 or 10 months ago, and I was looking at that specific question for months. How do I believe a thought, or what do I,
Yeah.
what is that process? Yeah, that makes a lot. And no, there have been, it's funny, even though this feeling of wrongness feels like it's been there all my life since whenever, but there have been like days or half days during my life when I didn't.
Yeah,
Mm.
And
good.
and there was, yeah, so I know it's not essential to be there all the time, but it's just but no, the feeling of that, that's the thing this the thing you're describing, Todd, is really helpful, and I'm not very good at looking at sensations and feelings. I have to keep. I don't know why it seems weird, difficult for me to, but yeah, I need to keep on pursuing that and seeing if I can feel
Yeah.
into it and so on. So yeah, thank you so much. I'll keep.
Oh,
I'll rewatch this and try and. It's
great.
funny, you're speaking English to me, and yet I'm listening to you going, "What is he talking about?"
I know, I know. I know. Well,
It's,
it again, because I was one of those very cerebral people, I understand. This was the extent of my, this was the extent of my experience. This below, nothing. So it takes a lot of work sometimes when we're not used to it to get into the body and to really recognize what we're actually feeling and how that is, like I explained, tying in with thoughts and creating this experience that seems so much more real and impenetrable than it actually is. Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah,
clue. Anytime you hear yourself using a word like, being a contracted sense of self, or that, it feels like an armor plating or something like that, that's a clue to check in with the body and see what
Mm.
you're actually experiencing.
Yeah.
okay,
And then also I really want to for you to start to be inquisitive to when you have a thought, notice what Todd was talking about, the tongue moving as if you're talking. the eyes moving as if you're seeing,
Yeah.
the posture moving as if you are arguing, you know, really, really notice that, because that's
Yeah.
how we recognize crazy people in the street, right? That they're walking
Yeah.
around, you know, but we're doing that all the time.
Completely.
Just
Yeah.
with micro expressions, you know, you can really
Yeah.
see a lot of what is going on in the person by notice all those micro expressions that is happening all the time, because the thoughts are connected with the muscles or the other way around, whichever way it is, where something is activating, and then it's just that body feedback loop happening. And you can just, you know, lean back with the popcorn and sit and enjoy the show, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate your
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you.
help
Thank you.
again.
Thank you,
So
man.
thank you.
So good seeing you.